Oh yeah, that's a ship right there. Honestly, smaller than I thought it would be.
I can't believe there's actually an underground harbor here. There are even boats docked.
I only see Dahnans. Think they were forced to work here?
Probably. Let's see what they have to share about Almadria.
Oh, this is the ship we're gonna take to get to her ship, and her ship is gonna be, like, massive, I bet. Hey, guys. This might be the best place in the world to work, but at least you spend... But this might not be the best place in the world to work. I read that wrong. But at least you spend your days never having to worry about starving. You can't head out to fish in the ocean, but if you don't mind river fishing, there's a good spot outside with all the fish you could ever want. How nice. I'm stealing all your stuff, by the way. Ooh, heavy treat. Very useful. It's real unusual for Lord Almadria to come through here without letting any of us know ahead of time. She took off with a sizable posse, too. Wonder what that was all about. Your guess is as good as mine. I'm just glad she didn't ask us to come along with her. This boat here is used for shipping. Always takes off with an empty cargo hold and comes back with a full one. Pretty big, ain't she? But compared to Lord Almadria's personal ship, this thing's a cupcake. Yeah, okay. That makes a lot more sense. I should have assumed that in the first place. This is a very pretty game. I feel like I don't mention enough how pretty this game is. It's very pretty. They've done great with Tales of Arise. Absolutely amazing. I ain't been back to Nia's in a while. If it ain't one bright eyes busting my chops on deck, it's another busting my chops on the docks. Speaking of which, did you hear? They say that cargo might contain stolen goods that someone smuggled outside the realm. Oh yeah, I heard, but it don't concern us what's inside. Our job is to process them and move on. Yeah, I hear ya. We got enough to worry about with how heavy it's gonna be to haul it around. Indeed, indeed. Mackerel. Holy mackerel, suffering succotash, etc. Anything over here? No, wait, I wanted to look over there.
You didn't happen to see a lord come by, did you?
Sorry, friend, but she just left. Came by with a whole posse of underlings, boarded her ship, and took off at first wind. We damn near got blown away. She was that much in a hurry.
Damn! So we missed her!
You guys trying to go after her? Need a ride?
Are you saying you know how to steer a ship?
Spent most of my life chained to the deck of some ship or other. Yeah, I know my jib from my boom.
We don't know how dangerous it'll be. Better you give us the boat and stay on solid ground.
Whoa there! You been out on the water before? The sea ain't nobody's friend, you know. You need a sea dog like me or you'll sink her before she makes it out the harbor.
We're losing time. Sir, we're in your debt.
Now that's more like it. Name's Mahavar. Just give me a holler when you're all set and we'll set sail.
Yo, shout out to my boy Mahavar. He's a real one. Please don't betray me. Also, please don't die. Ready to go? Set sail. All right, just hold on tight because it's going to get bumpy.
This is like a dream come true. Never gotten to captain a ship before. Never would have thought I'd get a chance like this. Thank you, y'all.
The pleasure's all ours. Think we'll catch up to her?
Course we will. They got too much weight on them. Meanwhile, this ship's carrying nothing but us salty scalawags. They got a good head start on us, but we can take them.
Do you know if there are any Dahnans on that ship?
Couldn't say for sure. On the one hand, seeing as it's supposed to be something of another castle, I'd reckon they probably wouldn't let a bunch of Dahnans on board. On the other hand, I'd be real surprised if the Renans were able to pilot that thing all by themselves. In any case, it's gonna be a while before we reach her. Until then, you're all free to do whatever. Just don't fall in the ocean.
My party disbanded. Game over. We're all done. Dude, I love Mahavar. Please don't be bad. Yeah, Lone Wolf, your message came in, like, after I had already set sail, but apparently, I feel I should give you a heads up. I'm not going to go into the story beats as to why, but once you leave on the ship, it's a good while before you can fast travel, so we're not going to be able to fast travel for a while. I don't know, I might have gone to the Owl Forest if you had told me ahead of time, but I don't really think there's anything else I would have done other than going on the ship, to be honest. I don't really want to go do more of the solo stuff just yet in the Colosseum.
I know Mahavar said we could take it easy, but there's not exactly a lot to do on this boat. I guess I'll check in on everyone and see how they're holding up.
Okay. I guess we're talking to Rinwell first, because the game forced it.
Do you think Law is okay?
If you're worried, why don't you ask him yourself?
Yeah. I think maybe I should apologize to him too. I should apologize to all of you, really.
Us too?
Well, I was kinda lying to you all this whole time. I was blind to everything except my own revenge. I never even considered the struggles all of you might be facing.
We all have things we'd prefer to keep to ourselves, Rinwell. So what if you had something to hide? It doesn't undo the good that you've done, or the people that you've helped save along the way.
But that's not what I mean.
I know. You're talking about Almadria, right?
Yeah. I hate her, Alphen. I can't stop hating her. Even just thinking about her makes my head feel like it's going to explode. But it's not just her. I think about the way Law looked at me. I hated the Lord who killed my parents. And I hated the Renans I had to travel alongside. And yet, Ceslodia's Dahnans backstab each other like it's a normal way of life. And Mahag Sar has people like Deadheim. But then there are people like Law and Shionne. It's all just too much. I don't know what to think anymore.
Law never said that you had to forgive Almadria. It's only natural you would hate your family's murderer. But
But what?
Law left home because of how much he hated his father. As a result of that, well, I think Law spent a lot of time thinking about how they never got to make things right. And if I had to guess, killing Ganabel didn't make any of those feelings go away. Law let revenge fuel him, and I think now he's afraid you'll do something you'll regret.
Afraid?
Whatever happens to Almadria when this is all over is up to you. I'll respect whatever choice you make. Just think it over carefully for me, okay? You still have time.
Okay. Thanks, Alphen. Say, back then, after the fight, I think I really made Shionne mad. I don't know, though. Maybe it just looked that way. But I guess I just can't seem to understand how she feels. Do you know why she gets like that?
Shionne's... She can be a tough nut to crack. She doesn't really talk a whole lot about herself.
It's just what she said about hate being a source of strength. Where did that come from? I wonder how it feels, not being able to hold another person's hand.
It's gotta suck, right? Going your whole life, presumably your whole life, not being able to have physical human contact. Question, is the black thing on Alphen's face a giant eye patch, or is it just a fashion thing? I assume you didn't watch, like, any of the first, like, 4 hours of the playthrough. When we started the game, Alphen had an entire iron mask that he couldn't remove covering his head, and when we beat the first Lord, it snapped into pieces, but the rest of it is still on him, and he literally cannot remove it. That super serious moment with Rinwell going into this music is so good. Aye. Alright, good talk, good talk. So we get to talk to everyone, I assume. Let's save, them for last then. Let's go talk to Shionne.
Lean much further, you'll go overboard. Keeping an eye out for Almadria's ship?
I'm looking at the ocean.
The ocean?
Yeah. The waves. They help me think. This world is filled with natural wonders. The icy air and white peaks of Cyslodia. The lush green glades of Menancia. The harsh wastes of Calaglia. But Menancia has its Lake of Death, and Nias its ruins. And they wouldn't be there if it weren't for that contest.
Say we actually manage to put a stop to the crown contest for good. What do you think will happen between the Dahnans and the Renans then?
You first.
Well, I want to believe that the coexistence we saw in Menancia can happen elsewhere, too. It's insane for all of us to keep fighting. If Menancia can do it, so can everyone else.
Yeah, I think that would be good too. A world where everyone can get along. At least, that's what I've come to believe.
You sure have changed.
I can't lie to you. Since I was young, I've looked down on the Dahnans too. But I've seen a lot. And I see things differently now. I've seen so many ugly and terrible things in this world. And yet, they didn't come from just the Dahnans. And the good things too. They didn't come from just the Renans. Kindness and cruelty exist on both sides. A person's race doesn't factor into it. So, I guess you're right after all, Alphen. I have changed. You know, I've never actually touched another person like this.
Shionne.
Ever since I was on Lenegis, I've always been alone. Even after I came to Dahna. Always.
And now?
Do you still not remember your past?
No. Sometimes it feels like I can almost remember. But then this mask stops me.
The mask keeps you from remembering why you have the mask in the first place. It's a little ironic, isn't it?
A little. Well, it won't be long now before you're rid of those thorns, you know? Only 2 lords remain. And once you have their master course, you'll be able to create the Renis Alma, right? Then you can... Shionne?
Sorry, it's nothing. Promise. You're right, though. It'll all be over soon. I never could have made it this far on my own. I have everyone to thank for that. Including... especially you, Alphen.
Don't worry about it. We're friends, after all.
Yeah, we are.
That was a really touching moment. And then they cut back to this music. You should probably check up on what everyone's doing right about now. Yeah, yeah. That's... All right, well, let's save the two best for last, which is obviously Law and Kisara. So let's hit up Dohalim. Why is it that when I walk up to those two, it automatically puts me into cutscenes, but I have to talk to you? Do you not have a cutscene?
Hold that pose long enough and someone might just come along and paint you.
Any artist who'd see fit to paint me needs their eyes tested.
What can you tell me about Almadria?
Not as much as you'd probably wish. I only ended up crossing paths with her a handful of times, after I was chosen to be a lord on Lenegus.
Ah, right. I almost forgot about Lenegus. How much do you think they know about what's been going on down here?
It's safe to assume they know everything, though I know not why they choose to remain uninvolved. Perhaps they see what's been happening as just part of the ongoing crown contest.
Even what Almadria did? Has it really reached the point where her actions are seen as normal?
Not to my knowledge, no. At its core, the crown contest is a competition to see who can amass the most astral energy. And to amass such energy, slaves are needed to collect it from. It's therefore against the Lord's interest to kill them.
So then why would Almadria do something like that?
We must remember that time is running out in the crown contest. Perhaps her hand was forced, so to speak. It is a way to accrue astral energy faster and in larger quantities than through slave labor. Doing so kills off that labor force, obviously, but it is a means to an end nonetheless. No one could have foreseen that something like the Hollowing would arise back when the contest was first conceived.
Is becoming the Sovereign of Rena really that important to the Lords?
Of course. It's the greatest prize one can attain in their eyes. In that respect, at least, I'm really not that surprised that Almadria resorted to what she did, as utterly despicable as it is.
It's reassuring to hear you feel the same way I do.
I worry that the only reason I never did anything similar in Menancia was due to my lack of ambition.
If you didn't want to be reminded of your past, you could have just plugged your ears.
You think too highly of me. I'm afraid I must respectfully disagree. I'm not nearly as virtuous of a person as you might wish to believe.
If that's so, would you have been so shaken up when Kisara lost her brother? Why else would you turn your back on your own kind and choose to fight for Miguel's dream? Aren't we just Danans?
A curious choice of words. Did what you see in Mahag Sar hit you that hard?
What Deadheim did to that city, he didn't liberate anyone. Anyone who refused to follow him was an enemy in his eyes. 300 years of Renan rule taught him nothing.
What I have come to understand is that the conflict extends beyond Danan versus Renan. There is an internal quarrel as well. I mean to bring about a true, lasting coexistence in Menancia. But there are more walls we must topple first.
And you don't think you can pull it off?
Well, you seem to think you can, at least.
Does that make us enemies?
Insofar as an exchange of swordplay, no, it doesn't.
Not good enough for you?
Are you really... Forgive me. I will continue to fight by your side a while longer. That much I have decided.
Dude, this music was not the right call. They could have gone with something a little different. I'm not one for optimism when there isn't sufficient evidence. Did you hear the start of that skit, by the way? Apparently, Shionne and Rinwell get cutscenes, but I guess the other three are probably gonna get skits instead, which is fine. But, did you hear what he said at the start? Anyone who paints me as a fool or whatever? You hear that, fan artists? If you draw fan art of Dohalim, he thinks you're a fool, which is pretty rude of him, to be honest, but I'm just letting you know. It'll take some time before we catch up to her, so feel free to go out and stretch your legs, maybe check how the rest of your crew's doing. All right, now this is a hard pick. Do we talk to Kisara next, or do we talk to Law? Decisions. Please stop this music. They're both pretty much tied. Like, Law is my favorite male character. Kisara is my favorite female character, without a doubt. They're both so good. They're both so good.